on the bridge. But after I explained it to him, and I think he understood that I was serious about this and that this wasn't in any way inhibiting the safety of the vessel, he kind of understood that this is something serious. And in general, Americans, when you're with them one-on-one, they kind of realize if you're serious about something that's going to benefit not only you, but probably others, that this is generally a good thing.
Right. And now when you're out at sea on one of the boats, I mean, do any of the other crew members ask you any questions about Islam or curious to know something about Islam?
Sure. There's a lot of discussions. There's a lot of course, what's happening now is there's a lot of, it's really unfortunate, but it's not coming from the general population, but some of the media outlets are promoting what could almost be anti-Islamic propaganda. So from that, people have a lot of preconceived notions about Islam, and it's caused a lot of problems actually from that side of things, where people have a negative image towards Muslims, and from that they may ask you crazy questions. So you're starting at a negative,
right?
And they've kind of got you where you're trying to defend. But one of the things that's good is that since I've been sailing so long, I would go on different vessels and people would know me from a long time ago. So they know who I am and they know what I'm about. So it kind of smooths things along with regards to that.
Right, right. Now, is there ever like moments when you're sailing and you're just far from shore that you really just have time just to think about Allah's creation?
Yeah, that's what's really nice. I actually was on the west coast of California. We were actually on the west coast of Mexico. And it was a very special time because it was a time period of the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, the time period preceding the annual pilgrimage. And it was a special time period because there was another sailor on board. We were both fasting, and we were also at that same period of time trying to, do prayers together and things like that. So it was a very, very special time to see the sun go down on the sea. Now that's a different aspect than to be perhaps like in Baltimore with the buildings, or perhaps in other parts of America with the tree. To see the sunset on the sea is a very different thing, and it's a very spiritual thing also. So at those periods of time, and specifically when you're in the first 10 days of the Hijjah, a special time period, and also you're fasting, it's a very spiritual time with regards to that, and especially if you have someone there also doing the same thing.
Right.
So we've done that before. Yeah.
Right. Here in Baltimore, there's the Islamic Society of Baltimore, and you're the operations manager. So tell us a bit about the organization and about the masjid and some of the services they provide here in the Baltimore city.
I recently moved to the Baltimore area in the last 7 months, mainly because the primary reason why I've moved is because at the Islamic Society of Baltimore, located here in Baltimore, the western side of Baltimore, they have a program there for the memorization of the Holy Quran. And as I have stated earlier, when I grew up, I didn't have access to basic facilities with regards to a mosque, let alone education. So what I'm trying to do is give to my family, my daughter, what I didn't have myself. So we've actually moved from Richmond and enrolled my daughter in the full-time memorization class, which is still something fairly new in America, but alhamdulillah, she's gotten this opportunity, and that's the main incentive for us to having moved here. And they have a wonderful program at ISB, and it's one of the highlights of that institution. Along with that, they have a full-time school, which goes up to, I believe, 9th grade, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the things that's also really nice at that particular masjid is that what they've done is they have a full court gym. So not only do you have a full-time hifz school, four-court gym, a full-time school, you have a full court gym, you have, of course, the musalla and other activities, but it kind of makes it easier. It's a very mosque-friendly, it's a very youth-friendly as far as the usage goes for the youth to just come in and hang out, say their prayers, and at the same time you even have awqaf, you have housing on the mosque property, which is something still kind of unique in America, where you have 4 townhouses attached to the mosque. So it's a very homely and like friendly type environment where you've got You know, it's interesting. I'm looking at the gentleman outside. Is the first graduate of the HIF program there. He also plays basketball there, and he also leads the prayer. So you've got a local Baltimorean, grew up here, lived on the mosque site, memorized the Quran at the institute, hangs out, plays basketball, and is now in college. So,
MashaAllah.
you know, so that's kind of cool about, you know, that particular mosque. And I've just started working in operations, trying to facilitate greater corporate cooperation, coordination between the different things going on there with regards to the school, the actual HIF school, and cleaning staff, and everything dealing with the mosque. So outreach and our image abroad in the greater DC area also. So.
And then what about in the outreach programs? Do you participate in the outreach programs? And are you able to go sometimes and give talks about Islam? And when you do, what are the topics you like to make sure you cover?
Right. Recently, since I'm somewhat new into the position, I haven't developed myself so much in that role, and it's something that I'm perhaps looking forward to in the future to do. But of course, there's a lot of interest in interfaith and just people as a neighborliness getting together and talking together, so that the others will have some concept of what we're doing here and who we are. So I haven't been involved so much so in that. What I am definitely trying to get involved with in the beginning now is the concept of greater communication between Muslim organizations within the DC area. You might have a mosque downtown that doesn't know about the mosque in the West End, and what I'm trying to do is work with an organization here in the greater DC area to try to facilitate that type of coordination.
Right, right. And we're here at this conference, and they're trying to emphasize the importance of Muslims and their civic responsibilities.
Right.
So in terms of dispelling some of the misconceptions about Muslims, which mainly come from people not knowing us, why is it so important for Muslims to get involved in the society in general?
Well, I mean, you know, subhanAllah, if Muslims are going to be in a particular area, their whole purpose in being in that particular area is to, especially when you're a minority, is to practice the religion and spread the religion. And the main reason we're in America is to help the people here. I mean, I was born here, but the whole purpose of our life is to actually service to the non-Muslims. That's the whole purpose why non-Muslims go, well, Muslims go to the other places, is to serve them. This is the whole concept that we have, because if we're not going to do that and we're just going to focus on making money and focus on businesses and our families, then the whole concept of our existence is not there. This is the whole should be the whole thrust of the Muslim community in North America.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's
And you
the
tell me now you spent time in Qura in
Right.
Saudi Arabia.
Right,
Do you have any plans to really return to Saudi Arabia?
Well, I mean, that was like a dreamland. You know, I was there. I was married there. My first daughter Khadija was married, was born there, and you know, it's like the good old days. You know, how I met you, because
Right.
the life was at the same time. Specifically in that city, you know, you've got an extremely spiritual city, but you know, it's a very lively city. You're meeting people from all over the world. Your identity as a Muslim is very much solidified with the influx of pilgrims in the Hajj period and Ramadan, and the ability to sit with the ulama there and the scholars, and to work with the Arabiya. Oh, it was just a dream time. It was a wonderful time period. So, alhamdulillah,
Okay.
had a wonderful time there. So.
MashaAllah. Well, Brother Omar, I really appreciate you taking some time to share with us your experiences as an American Muslim. But before we conclude here, I would just like to ask you, what do you feel like is the future outlook for Islam here in America?
The future outlook, inshallah, we are at this juncture attempting to, through conferences like this and through organizations like the Islamic Society of Baltimore, do a better job with regards to our youth development. I see that as the future of Islam with regards to passing our religion on to our future generations.